You open this door with the key of reason. Beyond it is another dimension, a dimension of truth, a dimension of freedom, a dimension of joy. You're moving into the land of both the ideal and the real, of the possible and the actual. You've just crossed over into the Capitalist Corner.
Where reason meets reality, welcome to the Capitalist Corner.
That's right, folks, where reason meets reality. I hope you've been finding this show an island of reason in a sea of irrationality. I hope you've been finding this show to be a life preserver for you in all the insanity out there that's happening in the world. Yes, we are the Capitalist Corner. I am your host, Mark Pellegrino, who is also the chairman of the American Capitalist Party, along with my co-host and vice chair of the American Capitalist Party, Michael Liebowitz, who has his own show called The Rational Egoist, which you all should be watching and or listening to feverishly, because the ideas of rational egoism need to spread like wildfire through our altruist, collectivist, statist system before we end up collapsing into oblivion. So, Michael, how are you going to save us from collapsing into oblivion this week?
Well, the first thing is I'm going to make sense out of everything that you say here. And if Jim comes on, I'll straighten that out too. So everyone will be good. But I've also got an episode maybe coming out today or tomorrow where I interviewed Catherine Dickerson. Catherine Dickerson was the personal assistant of both Peter Schwartz and Leonard Peikoff. She teaches parent effectiveness training. She's skilled in Montessori stuff. And we did an episode on the benevolence of reason.
Montessori or Montessori?
I say Montessori. I can pronounce things however I want.
Oh, I see how this works. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So anyway, so we did an episode on the benevolence of reason. I'm hoping that comes out either today or tomorrow. And don't forget, I've also, and Jim Valiant and I are going to be doing an episode on the so-called anarcho-objectivists. Nicole Hingle gave us a super sticker. Thank you so much, Nicole. Let's zap it up here. And I, of course, got this great new show. I've done 2 episodes. I really like it. Everyday Ethics, 2:30 Eastern time every day. So everything's going great. I feel much better. The brain fog is gone. So.
Oh, good. So you don't have what's called long COVID. Also, don't forget, Michael, we have a weekend show that we do, Self-Made Soul, which also talks about the intersection of philosophy and psychology. Last week's show was absolutely and totally a blast. It went off the rails in a sort of fun way. You never know what's going to happen, but in the end, we talk serious subjects that I think everybody needs to hear. But before you continue on with anything, Mike, I have to do this. Otherwise, I forget every time. This is a disclaimer. We are not representing the American Capitalist Party's ideas right now. If you want to know what those are, go to AmericanCapitalistParty.org and read the policies. I'm sure you're going to love them. We've gotten some new writers who are going to start expanding on the webpage and start dealing with current events. I'm about to publish a paper or 2 that will drive Michael insane. I guarantee it.
Which means you're going to be wrong.
Which means I'm going to be right. You're going to be wrong, but you won't admit it. You'll submit it to Grok, and Grok will pretend like you're just the more precise guy.
Hold on. No. I got to tell you something about that. And Jim Valiant's here. And I forgot also that Nicole Hingle gave us a super fucking sticker. That's something that
I was going to correct you, but I decided not to do that. Yeah,
no.
We're calling the super stickers and the super chats now super fucking stickers and super fucking chats.
That's right, because we don't care. We're badass over here. So
we're
anyway,
like the honey badger. We're like the honey badger, baby.
We don't care.
We don't give a shit.
So I submitted the debate that you, Jim, and I had to Grok. And I asked it who did the most interrupting, who won, who misrepresented.
Story all the time.
Well, here's what happened, though. So initially it had me, I was the biggest dick on the show. You were a distant second, and Jim was the elder statesman. He was wonderful. But it conflated it. In one instance, it actually attributed to me something you said. So I corrected it. It still had me as the biggest dick, but now you came in a close second with interruptions and misrepresentations. And still, It has Jim, this thing, it's like Jim paid it off. It was like Jim Valiant stood back and he was very calm and patient and peaceful in its representations. And it said Michael went off on tangents about Mark's mustache and money and things
Conspiracy
like that.
theories are the province of the irrational, my friend. And that's where you're going. Hey, thank you, Robert, for your super fucking chat.
It was his idea, by the way, the title.
I know
super
that's
fucking chat.
We've stole it though. Thank you for giving him credit. So now we're not actually stealing it. We're actually giving him credit. Never make fun of people for mispronouncing a word. It means they learned it by reading. On the other hand, if once corrected, they keep mispronouncing it. The gloves are off. Yes, but I learned Montessori by reading Montessori, and I still didn't say it the way he said it. So,
well, how is it properly pronounced? Let's find out.
Montessori. What did you say? Montessori? Montessori?
Montessori. I actually normally hear Montessori, but I did learn it reading, so I say Montessori, but I've never actually heard like an expert pronounce it. So I don't really know what the proper pronunciation is. Persephone, can you look into this and find out for us, please? I think that I think Mark is correct. Subby said, I know it's Dr. To this, Bonnie, I know who it is. Come on.
Yeah. How do you pronounce aluminum, Michael?
Huh?
Nothing. Anyway, look, folks, we got a few stories to get to today. The first
Montessori.
You're like a bad actor practicing a line or how to say something.
Enunciation.
Yeah.
20 dwarves took turns doing handstands on the carpet. Okay, let's get to what is good.
Thank you, Nicole Hengel, for saying what is usually the case on this show. Mark is correct. So the first thing I wanted to deal with was a tweet that you sent me of a show that Mark Ruffalo did. Mark Ruffalo is a very, very fine actor. I just want to get that out in the open. A student of Stella Adler. In fact, I have a tape of Stella Adler reaming him a new one for a scene that he did in class because of his laziness. But whatever, he might have been lazy in class, but he's turned out to be quite a fine actor in the real world. Unfortunately, his political views don't quite measure up to his acting talent. In this case, he's been quite openly pro-Palestinian, and most of Hollywood, what people call A-listers, the people who get movies done, get movies green-lighted, they seem to be predominantly pro-Palestinian and anti-Israel. Now, this isn't new. This has been going on since 2014. At least I've recognized it since 2014, when some A-listers made a petition against Israel for their response to the murder of 3 kidnapped Jewish IDF soldiers. This seems to be the trend. The trend is to be pro-Palestinian because the Palestinians seem like the benighted and injured grievance group, and the Israelis are rich and powerful, and so they are obviously the oppressors. Now, in this little interview, Ruffalo appears to say two things that are contradictory, and he's trying to call out the people who claim that, the Palestinians deserve what they're getting because of the ideology that most of them follow. His premise was that the people who believe this are either trying to tell him all Palestinians deserve to die, which I don't think they're actually telling him, or what he thinks is a contradiction, they are used as human shields and deserve to die as a result, apparently implying that their use as human shields is not voluntary on their part, but is something forced upon them, and they are therefore innocent bystanders to a war. It's possible that both can be true simultaneously, that a large proportion of the Palestinian people do in fact want Israel wiped off the face of the earth, do in fact agree with Hamas, do in fact support their terrorist activities, and do in fact stick around to become martyrs. They do have a martyr extolling culture, by the way. So it's possible for both to be true at the same time. Not that all Palestinians should die, but that the Hamas and the Palestinians' adoption of Hamas's ideology to the degree that they do makes it impossible to avoid citizen casualties when trying to take Hamas out, which is the only solution to the problem in Gaza at the moment. So, of course, Mark Ruffalo, in my opinion, is just not only adding to the noise, but adding to the pressure on Israel to negotiate with a terrorist organization, to leave them in some degree of power in the Middle East. And later on, we're going to be talking about a terrorist they want to release who they claim could be the proper middleman to bring peace to that region, which is absolutely false. And putting pressure on Israel to not fight the war to its conclusion, essentially keeping a status quo of resentment, hatred, and perpetual violence. What do you say, Michael?
I say that I sent you this tweet the other day for personal use. It had nothing to do with prep for the show. You were just on a really big roll, so I didn't want to interrupt you.
It looked like it was in this.
I saw it and I thought, well, Mark might like this, so I sent it to you. It had nothing to do with what I've sent today. This is an ongoing thing.
Anti-Semitism. It's still anti-Semitism.
But that's not there was an article actually about anti-Semitism that I sent that served for the heading of the show. This is the second time.
Are you talking about the 200 celebrities?
No, I send these things. Those are things I sent to you for your personal use, and you retweeted them both, indicating you knew they were for your personal use.
No, indicating that I read them, agreed with premises.
Why would I send you the other day stuff to prepare for today? How often do I send you things on Monday for Thursday's show?
I don't know. I don't look at the dates that you send them. I see a line of articles.
But I didn't send it to you today.
I didn't know. I didn't pay attention to that. I just see
Mark, you retweeted it yesterday.
Here's what I look at. Boom. There's the last show, and here's the show. Here's everything leading up to the show today. That's what I look at.
So everything that I send you in between is for the next show.
Everything you send me in between, I look at as the next show.
So listen to what happened this morning. Now we have to
Thank
share.
you, James. I agree with you.
So I have to share this. So this morning when I woke up at 4:00 and I realized, I hadn't yet come up with a topic for this week's Self-Made Soul show. So I sent Mark the article that we're going to deal with, and underneath it, I put for Self-Made Soul. Then I sent him the 10 or 11 articles in preparation for this. Then I get a text from him this morning that says, hey, I think that article from Psychology Today, the one that I told him was for Self-Made Soul, he said, I think that would probably be better for Self-Made Soul on Saturday.
So folks need context for this. Folks need context for this.
What is the context? I sent you a text and said, this is for Self-Made Soul.
The context is this. I see this, right? This is what I see.
Yeah.
Boom. I tap on it. I read the whole thing. I don't read the thing that you wrote under it. I just read the whole thing. And then
whose fault is that?
Okay, I'm not saying it's not.
Then what's the context that's going to absolve you here?
The context is that I'm letting people see that I see the article first and read it. Sans context, thinking that it's actually a part of the whole thing that you're sending me, because you send me a billion articles for the day. So I just start reading. I don't really read the captions that you put underneath them, because the captions you put underneath them are normally, take a look at this article.
That's not me putting that. I don't put that.
Look at this one. What?
Mark, Epic Times does that. When I share that, when you share their article, they say, take a look at this article.
But what about you?
I don't do that. Obviously, I want you to take a look at the article.
I have tons of.
Anything that says, take a look at this article is from Epic Times.
Really?
Yeah.
All right. So all I noticed is that I thought it's you commenting, take a look at this article.
Okay. So it's me saying, take a look at this article. You don't read the context of the articles that I actually, when I do comment, you don't pay attention. You include things that I send you throughout the week, and those are going to be part of the show as well.
No, I include things that you send. I usually it's very obvious to me when you're sending me something that's just red meat for me. This particular time, it didn't look like it was red meat for me.
Okay, so an actor
for the show.
Okay, so an actor that I've repeatedly an actor that I've repeatedly heard you talk about. There's a tweet where he's discussing a topic that repeatedly pisses you off. I sent it to you not on the day of the show. You reposted it on another day, which is not the day of the show. And yet you then assume that I was sending it to you, not for your own personal red meat use, but for use on the show.
Yes, because I wasn't looking at my stuff then. I was looking at it today.
Okay.
So I just assumed it was all today.
Anyways, I'll give you what
the lettering that says yesterday and today, by the way, are very tiny.
Oh my God. The caption, the caption, anyways, with him, it said he's one of the few actors that's taken a pro-Palestinian stance because the rest are fearful. And that is just absolute bullshit.
Absolute bullshit.
And that's why I sent it to you.
And that's why you sent me the follow-up article, which shows over 200 actors and performances are actually calling for the release of a Palestinian terrorist who
also had nothing to do with today's show.
But also, this guy has been convicted, of committing 4 murders. Now, their claims are that one, he's a potential mediator in the peace process. He's a member of Fatah, and so a more moderate political actor than, let's say, people in Hamas. But he can probably broker a good peace deal. They also say that the criminal proceedings were really sketchy. But Michael, for a sketchy political trial, 21 of the other potential convictions were overturned for lack of evidence. So for the ones that he was actually convicted for 4 life sentences plus like 40 years, there had to be quite a bit of evidence to suggest that he was part of the plot or the leader of the plot that murdered those people. Anyway, they also allege mistreatment in jail. They allege all kinds of things, but the guy is clearly a terrorist. And 200 celebrities, including the great Mark Ruffalo, Sting, Benedict Cumberbatch. My God, I love that guy. It's so unfortunate. Tilda Swinton, Ian McKellen, for crying out loud.
You love Benedict Cumberbatch?
I do.
Is it Bach or Bach? I thought it was Cumberbatch.
Benedict Cumberbatch. I love his work. I love Ian McKellen's work to a degree. I hate his Shakespeare. But can I tell you a little secret about Ian McKellen? He did King Lear. All right. They did a filmed version of King Lear, and then he did a staged version of King Lear. He had it apparently in his contract that he had to be naked on the moors. Okay, so there's a scene in King Lear, if you're not familiar with it, where he's destitute, he's blind, the thunder and storms all around. He's been betrayed by the kids that he put his faith in. He's literally screaming, "Blow wind and crack your cheeks." He's gone crazy. He had to be naked during that scene by contract.
The only reason I know about the naked scene is because Subby has that as his screensaver on his phone. That's the only reason.
Well, then you would notice something about Ian McKellen. Hung like Milton Berle.
Come on.
No, like a donkey. Like a donkey.
Oh, my Lord.
So that's probably why he wanted to do that scene completely naked. But I got to ask the audience, folks, if somebody's doing a naked scene, and the object is the language and the madness of the tragedy that the character is going through. That's what you're supposed to be noticing. But you see 9 or 10 inches of schlong hanging there. Are you going to be paying Shakespeare, or are you going to be paying attention to the other thing? I mean, just man or woman. No,
you're gonna. I don't care if man or woman. If you see something like that, it's like a car crash.
It is.
You can't look. No, you can't look away. Subby, by the way, just a disclaimer, doesn't actually have that for his screenshot. But I will say this. I don't know, Persephone, why Mark is obsessed with junk size. I don't know, but he brings it up. What am I going to do? I'm not going to ignore him.
Why does it always come back to junk size? I feel like this is the 4th time. Really? Is it the 4th time?
No, you do all the time. You bring this stuff up. But I'll tell you a funny thing. Like almost every other day. Like you're only here like once every 6 months anyway. And whenever you're here, it's somebody's dong you're talking about.
What?
Oh my God, Liam Neeson.
Because
remember,
weren't we talking about Liam Neeson?
I don't care. You know, the first thing I think about, like if you mention somebody to me, I don't immediately think, hey, because what's this guy packing?
You don't know the inside story. That's not the first thing I think about either, but I dated one of his girlfriends.
You told us that story.
She told me that ginormous
okay. All right, you came up short.
Now I can't look at the guy without thinking of it. Like when I see Naked Gun, I'm like, this guy's got a ginormous schlong. I can't help it because I've been told this stuff by people in the know.
and then you just focus on it like a laser, like
How
you're
can I
autistic.
not?
Okay,
How
look
can you
at.
not? You just said
So,
when you see somebody
have you ever seen the
naked on
movie?
stage, it's like a car crash.
No.
Rubberneck.
Yeah, if
Look.
somebody, if you're putting it in front of me, but
There it
sans
is.
video footage, I don't automatically call to mind every time someone comes up. Oh, I've heard about this guy schlong. But have you ever seen the movie? What the hell is the movie? South Central with Glenn Plummer. Have you ever seen it?
No.
Okay, Glenn Plummer, he's in everything. He's kind of like you. He's in things you don't even know. Like you're like, wow, Glenn Plummer's in that too. He's in everything. He's in this movie. And he ends up killing this guy because the guy was having sex with his girlfriend. He's upset about it, and so he murders him. And the cops are trying to get his goat, get him excited, get him upset. So the cop says to him, hey, the morgue, the coroner said that this guy was hung like a quarter horse, real tallywhacker length and girth. So my friend said to me at the time, what the hell is a tallywhacker? What does that mean? And I said, I don't know. I said, who can we? I said, listen, we're going to your mom's. Ask your mom. She's the one, and she'll tell us. And sure enough, he went to his house and he asked his mom what a tallywhacker was. So, what's
tallywhacker?
What?
What?
You're the expert on giant wieners and you don't know what a tallywhacker is?
I am not an expert on giant wieners. I'm just telling you.
Okay. I misspoke. You're an expert on who has them.
Well, no, I'm not an expert on that either. I've just been told certain things by people who know. We have
all these different actors.
We have a super fucking chat from Jenna. Says she can't stop laughing. Now stop this, Michael. Let's get off this schlong talk.
I've never been on a schlong, so I don't have to get off one.
Nor have
I. Get
I.
off this schlong. I don't have to get off.
I said
one.
Schlong talk.
Besides, you brought it up.
Stop talking about schlong.
Okay.
I have an article that we have to talk about from Reason Magazine because
not from Playgirl, I hope.
So the Department of Homeland Security continues airport cash seizures, Michael, a year after the Justice Department ended them due to constitutional concerns. Now, this is concerning. And they're doing this under asset forfeiture. So if you have a certain amount of cash and now the Department of Homeland Security can come around with a dog, a drug-sniffing dog or something. And thank you, Jenna. We already saw that.
We already did it, but I forgot. I was distracted by Nicole Hingle. But go ahead.
Okay, so they can come around with a drug sniffing dog. They can pretend that the drug smelled some kind of drug paraphernalia in your luggage. They can then search your luggage, and if they find a significant amount of cash there, presume that you have that cash because you're engaging in some sort of illicit behavior.
Yeah.
And they've done this multiple times. They've seized billions upon billions of dollars in this unconstitutional way. They've also trapped people who actually were not people committing these illicit acts, but transporting money for transactions, say, to buy a trailer in a different state. I've also, Michael, traveled from one state and country to another with a load of cash on me. And had they sniffed my backpack and sussed it out, they would have taken that from me, and I would have gotten that cash straight from a convention, that paid me in cash instead of cutting a check for me. Yeah. So I would have probably had my assets seized as well. Now, this of course caused all kinds of problems with civil liberties organizations, and they finally discontinued thank God that this process, but it is now being secretly continued by the Department of Homeland Security. What do you think of this, Michael? Because this is an insidious practice.
Let's just start this, right? Yeah, let's just start with the idea that it's not illegal to carry cash in the United States of America. Because immediately what I thought of was if they pulled you over and asked you, you would have an explanation for why you had a big bag of cash. But you shouldn't have to give them an explanation. You shouldn't have to justify why you have money. They Correct. Need to have the probable cause, not you. You're not guilty until proven innocent. You're carrying something that's perfectly legal. So screw them. They've also already been a decision against these people that they got to stop this, but they keep doing it. The whole civil asset forfeiture stuff drives me up a wall. They also mentioned something in the article that I was talking about with Jim a few days ago, where they talked about where they take the money and then give some back. And well, what is the rationale for that? Either it's illicit money and you keep it all, or it's not and you give it back. Because it actually happened to me. They took, I think, $900 from me and then gave me half back. But it was either drug money or not. I mean, I don't know, where do you come off with the justification to give half back? But to me, I mean, look, it's this stupid ass war on drugs. The trickle down effect from it that leads to so many rights violations is absolutely insane.
And it incentivizes law enforcement to just seize money for profit.
Yes.
Not only that, it incentivizes a judicial system that puts the cart before the horse. In other words, it puts your guilt first when they have to prove your guilt. You're innocent until proven guilty, but now you have to prove your innocence. That is the. I mean, those are the stages of tyranny, folks. That's what.
Yeah, I have to say something here real quick because I see Race Jacobson and he hasn't yet done the thumbnail. Race, because Race is very risque with the stuff he'll give me for thumbnails sometimes. Do not give me a thumbnail with a schlong on it. We don't want that, Race. But
you could put Liam Neeson or
oh my God,
on it just as a reference point.
How come Persephone just smiled when you said Liam Neeson?
I don't know.
All right,
I could
move
go
on.
into more detail, but I'm not going to. I could go into more detail. Trust
what?
Me. Women talk. Women talk.
Evidently, men do too.
No, women talk to me, but they talk like women talk. Women talk about details of men. This is just what they do. And I've heard it through, the grapevine, and it's a grapevine.
That sounds great.
And why are we back on this when we need to get on?
I needed to tell Ray something. We got a question here from Mattress Mac. He said, "How much does the U.S. Constitution really matter in our future techno-authoritarian corporate government coalition, where all serve as a vehicle for capital?" Okay, that sounds like it's some commie stuff.
Yeah, it does.
Oh, then he says, "Completely joking." Oh, okay, so he's not. All right. Well, thank you. He's not a commie, but it was commie rhetoric. Speaking of commie rhetoric,
it was gifted commie rhetoric, I might say.
Oh, this is very strange. I got to take this call real quick. Hold on. Hello? Okay, must have been spam. I saw on the heading Wells Fargo, and I thought, why the hell would Wells Fargo be calling me? So that's why I checked it out. Very good.
Don't forget to like and subscribe, folks, because what you're going to like and subscribe is one of the hosts answering his phone randomly in the middle of the talk. Go ahead.
Okay, so there's this libertarian anti-Semite. I don't know what the hell. He's a jackwagon, Bryce Lipscomb or something. I don't know how you pronounce his name. But this morning, this is supposed to be a libertarian, not a Marxist. And he posted this morning about how all bankers and intellectuals are no good and they should be forced to actually work for a living and do productive labor. And I'm just thinking, dude, like that's Marxist drivel that you're talking right now. And you have the nerve to talk about freedom. Like get out of here.
Yeah, folks, and not to interrupt, you're right about that, but not to interrupt, but also hit the bell icon, folks, so that you can get notifications whenever we are going live. That is a good thing. The algorithm likes it when you like us, when you hit the bell thing, when you share across... and
you share from YouTube.
Share from
did
YouTube
you...
across, media platforms, yes.
Did you share it today like you were supposed to?
I did.
Okay, good. Now what you do, Mark, listen, go to your phone and go to X. Go to my X page and see where this is streaming on X and share it from X to X and watch how the users go. The viewers will go way up.
That's way too much stuff for me to think about.
Oh my God. You go to my X page, you see where it says live and it has got this screen and all you do is hit the repost thing.
Okay. So while I'm doing that, then you got to talk about the affordability crisis. Go ahead.
I'd rather talk about the anti-Semitism. Can we talk about the anti-Semitism?
Let's talk about anti-Semitism.
All right, so let me find this article here so I can talk about the anti-Semitism. By the way, it's abundantly clear to me that anti-Semitism is on the rise. Now, I want to be clear. I'm not the guy that is like, that's racist or that's anti-Semitism. I'm not looking for bigotry under every bush. That's not who I am. And I also don't think that criticism of Israel is necessarily anti-Semitism. What I do think is that anti-Semites use Israel as cover for their being anti-Jew. So I criticize Israel. I mean, if you watch this show, you can see it. But there's an abundance of people who like to hide behind criticism for Israel. But when you pay attention, it always comes back to the Jews. Like I don't know if you caught Shannon Sharp with Chad Ochocinco.
No, who are those people?
They're both retired football players. But anyways, so they're talking about Jews own everything. They run the world, this and that. And this is always couched. It's very funny to me when people say, and you can't talk about this stuff. You can't talk about the Jews as they're talking about the Jews. It's like, where is your, well, I guess if they had brains, they wouldn't be anti-Semite. So that's it. So it says, this is from Axios. It says anti-Semitism in the U.S. has hardened into a durable new normal as fewer Americans feel any obligation to push back, according to a sweeping new survey shared with Axios. So people who are well informed of anti-Semitism and ready to stand up for it has fallen from 15% to 9%. The number of Americans categorized as haters, people who are outspoken with prejudice against Jews, has grown from 6% to 10%. You have the 18% of people believe Jews are a threat to American unity. 38% of Americans believe there is nothing they can do to counteract prejudice against Jews. Belief in classic tropes about Jews, like Jews being penny pinchers, that sort of thing, that's way up. You've got guys like Nick Fuentes who, they're way up. This Bryce character that I just mentioned, he's got about 70,000 followers on X. For me, I got to be honest. When I start encountering these people, I have a very big weakness in any form of argumentation. When I'm in a discussion with somebody and I feel they've given up reason, and what I mean by reason is not agreeing with me, but following basic rules of logic, going from premise to conclusion, understanding what follows what implies what. When somebody doesn't do that, it like goes, zzz, I go 0 to 100. Real pet peeve of mine. And then when you when you combine that with Jew hatred, where these people just put out nonsense as if they're quoting the protocols of the learned elders of Zion, it really strikes something primitive inside me and angers me. I'm never going to do anything about it. I'm just saying I find it very, very angering that they think it's okay to go on X and tout this shit. And a lot of the time it's like this Bryce character. They want to hide behind the non-aggression principle. But that's the non-aggression principle, as I've said before, is not an excuse to be a dick, right? Yeah, it would be wrong for somebody to punch you in the face, but it's very wrong for you to be a dick as well.
So Jenna asked, how did all this start about the Jews? Well, I think some of this started, Michael, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. I may be getting some of the history wrong. But I know that some of the dispossession and the exiling of Jews happened because back in the days when Christendom held sway over Europe, they had much the same rules with respect to money lending that the Muslims have. They didn't like money lending at interest. They thought it was an evil thing. But of course, they needed such things in order to pay for the noblemen, the aristocrats, and the people who ran the various institutions in medieval Europe needed money. And so they turned to the Jews, who had no compunctions about loaning money to them at interest.
Yes.
Now, when they became very indebted to the Jews and could not pay their debts, as many aristocrats and people and kings could not, do, they scapegoated them. They started blood libels against them, and they ginned up hatred against them, and they pogromed them, and usually exiled them out of the countries. Basically ran them out of town on a rail so that they didn't have to pay their debts. That's sort of how I remember it, starting in medieval Europe. But
that's true. So Deeper with Diego says, for Jews, lending at interest isn't a sin. I might be wrong. It's been a while since I've read Torah and, studied any Talmud or anything like that. But I'm pretty sure that what the Old Testament of the Bible says, or the Torah, the Tanakh, is that Jews can't lend to their brothers, meaning other Jews, at interest. That doesn't mean they can't lend to others at interest. But when Christians do that, they take over, and they, all Christians are part of this. So they take that command to apply to everybody. So they can't lend at interest to each other either. Muslims pick up the same thing. I don't think Jews are technically supposed to be lending at usurious rates to each other, but can do so to others. I'm not 100%, but I'm pretty confident about that. But yeah, I mean, in modern times, sure, that's why. But I mean, there's also something when you're different from the people around you historically. There you go, Persephone. You may charge a foreigner interest, but you may not charge your brother interest. So I was right. Thanks. But I mean, so what you're talking about when they're exiled in Babylonia, or they're
I'm talking about medieval Europe.
Yeah, but it even goes back further than that, is what I'm saying. Yeah, sure, but that particular trope about money lending, yes, that's when it goes back to. But even before that, they've always been viewed as outsiders. So when you're viewed as outsiders, it causes you to turn even more inward, that sort of thing. So that's where a lot of that garbage comes from.
Here's where the Jews can't win, Michael, because they were considered outsiders and they were kicked out of countries. I believe 109 of them altogether. But what particularly got Theodor Herzl involved in creating the Zionist movement was witnessing the Dreyfus case. And in the Dreyfus case, you had a man who had completely assimilated into French society, nonetheless being persecuted falsely because he was a Jew. And Theodor Herzl came to the conclusion that Jews couldn't win. If they tried to assimilate, they were still considered a foreign entity that needed to be either killed or pushed out of the country. If they failed to assimilate, the same thing. There was no way in which they could win. That's why he thought they needed to have a safe haven where they could legally defend themselves, where they didn't have to worry about the problem of assimilation or not assimilating. And that was the inspiration for the Zionist movement from Theodor Herzl's perspective, as far as I know. But look, back in the Middle Ages, that they started blood libels that are continuing to this day. Believe it or not, there are people in Orthodox religious communities, Orthodox Christian, Orthodox Muslim communities, who do believe that Jews killed babies and used their blood for matzah soup.
Right, you have blood libels, all kinds of stupid nonsense. Right. Again, this is not because I never want to give off the impression that, I'm saying you cannot criticize Israel or you cannot criticize a Jewish person. What is absolutely hideous is to ascribe characteristics that you consider negative to all Jews as a group that have nothing to do with the Jewish religion. For instance, I will criticize the Jewish religion as a faith, being based on faith. It's mysticism. There's a lot of collectivism in there. To me, that's okay. But when you start to say that Jews, because of ethnicity, are a certain way, that's where it's problematic for me.
Oh, yeah, indeed. And please remember to like and subscribe, folks, to this. Remember to share this from YouTube across social media.
You didn't yet share it from my.
Yeah, I did.
No, you didn't.
I did.
No, Mark, I just went and looked. I know you didn't. What you did was share the YouTube thing. You didn't share the X. Oh, my Lord. I'm going to go to X. I'm going to send it to you.
No. Don't. See, I'm on your thing right now. I'm on your page.
Okay.
I have share, I have like, and I shared it. I whatchamacallit it.
Okay. Do you see where it says live 31?
Hold Or maybe I showed the wrong thing. Yeah, I did. I did the wrong thing. Hello. I see live 32.
Okay. Oh my God. That just means that the viewership went up, probably because I'm there now. but yes, share that. Now look, we just went up to 68 viewers live right now. It just skyrocketed.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome.
All right. So
okay.
I did.
All right. You did good, kid.
So now, Michael, did you want to do the horseshoe doom? Populist left and right, say America.
Yes, I do. So yeah, you give us the lead in, and then we'll do what we do. You know how we do. We do what we do.
Well, so folks, if you listen to the right and you listen to the left, you're going to get one basic message from both, from slightly different perspectives. And that is that the American dream is out of the reach of the normal, everyday, average person. Everybody's living paycheck to paycheck. Life is totally and utterly unaffordable. You are fucked. And the only solution is their side. So from the left's point of view, it's the corporatists, it's the wealthy, it's the billionaires that are making your life miserable. All we need to do is tax them more, tax them appropriately, and all your dreams can come true. If we socialize and centralize just a little bit more, you'll be fine. For the right, it's the foreigners, the immigrants, it's globalism, right? That's fucking up our economy. If we could just close our doors to the immigrants, if we could just tax the competition away, we'll grow domestic industry and we'll be good again. In fact, Trump, as we're later going to discuss, thinks we can actually pay off the debt with the tariffs. That's how deluded he is. But Michael, they're both wrong. They're both wrong. So why don't you talk about why they are both wrong? Because this is going to be, people are going to feel slightly more optimistic, even though prices are up, even though you're paying 30% more at the grocery store than you were just 5 years ago. This should give you a little bit of something to hold on to. Go ahead, Mike.
Well, there's three big errors in here as far as I'm concerned. It's a lack of reason, so lack of rationality, a collectivist view of things. And three, and this I think is the biggest one as far as these go, is the viewing oneself and the people like you as a victim. The victim Olympics, everybody wants to be looked at as if they're, being mistreated. And then, of course, when they can say that they're being mistreated or think they're being mistreated, the solution is to have the government fix it. And all that they differ on is how the government should fix it. And they don't even differ that much. I mean, Trump wants tariffs. Bernie wants tax the rich. We're up to 91 live views, by the way. Thank you, Mark, for sharing it. 92 now. But it's all basically the same thing. Your problems in life are not your fault. They're the result of somebody else, the rich, the immigrants, the banks, Mark Pellegrino, whoever is causing your problems, and therefore it justifies state force in order to fix it.
Yeah, folks, prices are up, but it doesn't have anything to do with capitalism. It really has to do with the government interfering in the price mechanism, the government restraining trade. Just look at what Trump's doing. His tariffs are making capital goods more expensive. So the inputs for the building of capital in the United States are becoming more expensive. That's going to make everything across the board more expensive. The right thing to do is to remove these barriers altogether. Look, with a $37 trillion deficit and a government GDP ever increasing percentage of government work being an ever increasing
government spending being an ever increasing percentage of GDP.
Right. It's impossible to use tariffs to pay off the debt.
Oh my God, that's so stupid, isn't it?
As they used to do in the 18th and 19th centuries when government was 3% of the GDP. It's now 100 and something percent of our GDP. It's out of control. Tariffs aren't going to solve it. What will solve it is removing the obstacles to production, innovation, and building. That will solve it. And for the building crisis, you have to do this at the local level because many of the housing crises that are locally based are because there are local laws and regulations, some environmental, some just red tape and bureaucrats that you have to pay off that prevent builders from supplying to the demand that they can, were those barriers removed. You also have to start cutting back on social welfare programs. Like now, it has to be a slow cut down, because people need to begin planning because they are dependent on these programs now. But you have to do a rather intensive cut on those programs now. I would say in the neighborhood of 15%. Then you start cutting into the deficit. And you don't spend more, you literally spend less and less and less and less and less. Now, Trump apparently came into the government with those promises in mind, but he's spending more than any president before him. And he will continue a trend that seems to happen. As each president and administration spends more, the president succeeding him tops him. So this has been the trend since the 80s. I think with a possible little blip in the Clinton administration, whether it's an opposition Congress, but we simply have to cut, folks, and it's going to make 50% of the people in the country very, very uncomfortable financially because they are dependent upon the government in some way for their living.
Yeah. Now, Trump not only says he's going to get rid of the income tax because of the tariffs, so he's going to entirely fund the government through tariffs, but he's also going to pay off the debt with tariffs. I mean, it's obvious to anybody with an above 80 IQ, I should think that that's not going to be the case. I should say any honest person with an above 80 IQ.
Even his promise to give every citizen $2,000 from the tariffs is actually more than the tariffs are actually bringing in revenue.
Yeah, it's insane.
There's no way this pipe dream is going to come true, folks. No way.
By the way, Mark, since you shared from X, we've added 47 viewers.
Good.
Yeah, okay. So that's got to be something that we do on a regular basis.
Remind me to do that every day so I don't forget.
I will. Are you going to be here tomorrow?
Yes, I will. I don't see a load of super fucking chats though, and I don't see a load of super fucking stickers. We got to get those super fucking chats and super fucking stickers, and we need likes, please. Like and subscribe to this station
and shares,
because the capitalist message and rational egoism need to get out there in the world. The dominant ethics today is altruism. What does that mean? You do not have a right to live for your own sake, and yet you do. And that is the only moral system, I think, the one that says you have a right to live for your own sake, you are an end unto yourself, that leads to the benevolent society we all, as people who are liberty-minded, want. So spread the word, folks, so that we can become the counterculture out there to the altruistic, collectivistic statists out there, and the anarchists who are also, I think, against real liberty. Go ahead.
You had to take a shot at the anarchist real quick.
I've been fighting with Kinsella the last couple of days, but he's been nice to me. He's been nice to me, and I know why, Michael. I know why he's been nice to me. So, Michael, you sent me an article called "The Affordability Con Job." This was
Jesus, yeah. I talked about this, I think, yesterday, but I thought it was worth discussing again. Where Trump now is saying that affordability is a Democratic hoax, basically. The idea that people can't afford what they want, it's a Democratic word, it's a Democratic hoax. I don't know, man. It's so comical to me that that's his go-to for everything. When he doesn't like something, it's a Democratic hoax. The Democrats made it up, whatever. But it's dumb. Mattress Mac wants to know why corporations shouldn't pay more if this was a major component for achieving the golden age of America. Simple, Mattress Mac. It wasn't. There's a saying in Latin, and I can't remember the Latin word, but it basically is take no man's word for it. So it wasn't a major component of achieving the golden age of America. Neither were tariffs. Who Prays for Satan says, isn't there another show that covers everyday ethics as well? Yes, my show, Everyday Ethics, today and every weekday, 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 11:30 a.m. Eastern, 11:30 a.m. Pacific Time. I discuss ethics as it applies to the practical problems that we all deal with. It's not highly theoretical. It's just a good interactive conversation. Maybe one of these days, you should not take my word for it, Mattress Mac. You should go do the research. That'd be great. Maybe one of these days, Mark will even be in the audience and he'll, go back and forth a little bit with some of the people. I'm not putting any pressure on Mark. But if Mark can put pressure on the audience to give us super fucking chats, I can put pressure on Mark to be in my audience on Everyday Ethics.
Absolutely. So
what do you think, Persephone? No?
Well, so Michael, the reason Trump, of course, is going off on the affordability crisis and claiming it's a Democratic hoax is because, well, the Democrats focused on affordability during the election, and the public responded by electing Democrats. And so now he's claiming, as he does when he loses, that there's something wrong with the system, that it's all a hoax, it's all a lie. But the fact is, the Democrats, even though their solutions are terrible, Mamdani has terrible solutions for the affordability crisis in New York, yet he addressed the affordability crisis. And that's what people are concerned about. They're concerned about rising prices. They've just never read Hazlitt or they've never read Hayek. So they don't know how to solve the affordability crisis. So when a man comes along with a magic wand that he says he's going to wave around and the political power that he's going to acquire will magically make prices go down without
waving around his magic wand like he's Liam Neeson,
waving that thing around and promising the world, they believe it, Michael, because they need to, because they are in an affordability crunch, and they're in an affordability crunch in part because of Donald J. Trump himself and his economic policies. And so he's now claiming that it's all bullshit. It's a hoax.
It's a hoax.
It's a hoax. But the stats don't seem to meet up with him to agree with him, Michael, because apparently groceries are about 30% more expensive than they were.
Race Jacobson has combined a bunch of the themes that we've put together here today on the show, and he wants you to know that the magic wand is the red meat for your personal use.
Thank you very much for that. Bush told us the same thing about rising drug prices, that it wasn't a...
That's right. Well, they all do that when they're in office.
Then he created his magic drug program, which only added more
Medicare Part D, the prescription drug benefit, right?
Yes, which has done nothing to lower drug prices at all, as it wouldn't. And if you know anything about economic laws, folks, there's a reason why it wouldn't. Michael, this is why I think people who vote should take classes in economics, so that a parasitic political wannabe.
You don't need to take a class. You don't need to take classes. Just go out and get yourself a copy of Henry Hazlitt, Economics in One Lesson, Thomas Sowell, Basic Economics, Faustino Beauvais, Essentials of Economics. You can read Leonard Reed's I Pencil. I mean, there's all Free to Choose by Milton Friedman. There's all types of easy things that people can read about economics that you don't require taking a class. Oh, and there's a great reading list on the Capitalist Corner website, which I got to say, Mark doesn't do a good enough job of promoting.
I've never promoted it.
No, you promote it now.
Yes, we have a great library, folks, a great source of books for you to read.
No, the website, not the library. I want you to promote the website.
On the Capitalist Corner website, where you can find it at, as Persephone will post, something.org or com, I'm sure. There's plenty of material out of context today. Yes, there is, especially the schlong. The schlong is going to be heavily used in the out of context report today. So, all right, Michael. What's that?
Whose?
Yeah, Liam's. So, you need to know, folks. So, Trump has been carrying on a war with narco terrorists. He's designated people who are trafficking goods that are in demand in the United States from one place to another. He's labeling them as terrorists, even though they have committed no violent acts against anybody, and he's bombing them out of the ocean. Well, it appears that he's been bombing some innocent folks as well, unapologetically, and not just once, but maybe twice. So when there's survivors, they go back for a second time and missile the fuck out of those guys. A Colombian family yesterday filed the first legal challenge against U.S. airstrikes on alleged drug smuggling boats in the Caribbean and Eastern Pacific with an inter-American human rights watchdog. Now, Alejandro Andres Garanza Medina, a 42-year-old fisherman, was among over 80 people killed in 21 confirmed airstrikes carried out by the Trump administration since September. Carranza's wife and 4 children insist he was on a fishing expedition and not carrying drugs when his boat was struck on September 15th. Their complaint alleges Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth ordered the strike without knowing who was aboard, violating Carranza's right to due process and a fair trial. Hegseth is also facing scrutiny from U.S. lawmakers over a follow-up strike on another alleged drug boat days earlier that killed 2 survivors from the first strike. Separately, the Pentagon's internal watchdog determined Hegseth endangered U.S. troops earlier this year when he shared details about military operations in Yemen via private signal group chat. Michael, what do you think of this whole debacle with Venezuela? What do you think about us beefing up the military over there? What do you think about these boat strikes? Because you know what, when we say we're against these boat strikes, they say we're pro drugs. Look how crazy these and foamed at the mouth these liberty folks get when we're talking about killing drug dealers. After all, they're bad people.
Right. I mean, they set up just a complete straw man, right? Where they say, oh, you just want to defend drug dealers. Okay, partially, yeah, I do, because they haven't initiated aggression against anyone. And if they're selling a product that people want, they don't deserve to die for it. But in reality, what I really want to defend are things like freedom, due process, constitutional restraints on government. That's really what I would like to defend. There's no constitutional authority for Trump to be doing this. There's no moral authority for Trump to be doing this. He's now talking about bombing on land in South America. This is coming from the so-called peace president that a bunch of libertarians lined up to endorse, despite the fact that he said he was going to do just this. Right. But Kamala was so bad that it warranted not just, okay, go ahead and pull the lever, hold your nose, but you had to publicly endorse this tyrant and dick. Right. But I'm very happy because the last big political mistake I made, and it was a doozy, I supported the Iraq war in 2003. And I'll regret that for the rest of my life, but I am hell bent on not making another mistake like that. And I'm so happy that I have never supported this guy. I've never endorsed him. I would never vote for him. And that doesn't mean I would vote for his opponent, because I wouldn't have voted for Kamala either. Sometimes not voting is taking a stand. Right, Persephone?
Exactly. I'm going to agree with Persephone because she's going to nod, I hope, on that.
She's nodding. Very pretty, too.
Contrary to some of the fandom of Supernatural, I have a reputation for being pro-Trump with the lefties of Supernatural. Even though I have never voted for him, I always talk shit about him. And even in this last election, Michael, because it was so bad, I only voted in the local elections and propositions and for local politicians. I abstained from the presidential election. The one before that, I voted for the guy who didn't know where Aleppo was. All right. So it's like I have never, ever voted for this guy. There was a time in 2016 where on Facebook, I was like tampering down people with Trump, which at the time was Trump derangement syndrome, and they were lying. And I'm like, you don't have to lie. The guy he's his own proof. You don't have to add to it with bullshit. Just tell the truth. And for that, I think they thought I was supporting the guy. And I never have, for the record, ever have supported the guy, and will never vote for anybody who believes in the MAGA agenda. I just simply won't. It's against my principles. Speaking of the MAGA agenda, we have a couple minutes here. I wanted to read this from the Daily Digest. Federal agents began immigration enforcement yesterday in New Orleans, Louisiana, and 2 Minnesota cities, Minneapolis and St. Paul. The crackdown follows similar endeavors in Los Angeles, Chicago, Charlotte, and Memphis. Federal officials specifically named 10 people in Louisiana for arrest and deportation, men from Honduras, El Salvador, Guatemala, Mexico, Jordan, and Vietnam, who had been arrested for crimes including child endangerment, robbery, and domestic abuse. The Department of Homeland Security says the men have been inappropriately released from custody due to New Orleans' sanctuary city laws. Federal agents are separately targeting unauthorized Somali immigrants in Minnesota, according to reports. And the crackdown comes after President Donald Trump used derogatory language to refer to Somalis and Somali-born Representative Ilhan Omar. Now, it is not clear to what extent officials will arrest people without criminal records. Out of more than 370 unauthorized immigrants arrested in North Carolina, federal officials say at least 44 had criminal records. I'm sorry to laugh at that, Michael, but since it was supposed to be the criminals that were supposed to be arrested.
Worst of the worst. Of course, they hide behind it. Well, they broke the law by coming into the country, so technically they're all, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. Look, as a capitalist, I believe that you have an individual right to move from a bad place to a better place. You don't have an individual right to other people's stuff. You don't have an individual right to go on the welfare state. You don't have an individual right to parasitize other people, but you do have an individual right to move and produce.
Wow, you said that word so cleanly just now. I struggled so bad the other day to say it.
Which one?
I can't do it.
Yeah.
Parasitize. That was great. That was great.
But out of the 370 unauthorized immigrants arrested in North Carolina, 44, a fraction of them had criminal records, Michael. The rest of them are there, not committing crimes that we know of, other than the bogus crime of moving from a bad place to a better place and hoping for a better life and hoping they can work for a better life. Those dreams, which used to be the American dream, are being shattered by Immigration and Customs as we speak, and by the Department of Homeland Security, which needs to be pared back, baby. It needs to be pared back. All these security agencies, folks, they need to go.
They need to go. And so do we. So you got to give the capitalist thought of the day. I'll ask the question. We'll tell them where they need to do, what they, everything else. We're going to be good.
Where is Lepo? What's the name of that guy? Yeah, what was the name of that guy? Who's the guy?
Gary Johnson.
Yeah, Gary Johnson.
He was once the governor of Arizona.
And I prefer it that way, to be honest with you, because I don't want him to know that much. I want him to be not engaged in political activity. The more engaged the political class is in political activity, that means the more engaged they are in stealing our shit. Look, we want rational egoism to be the ideal that all of us shoot for. That's what we want. That's the basic moral ethics that we want society to adopt, because it will show itself in individual rights. That will be the political expression of rational egoism, is individual rights. And individual rights, as far as we are concerned, is the only system that will defend your life and property and treat you as an end unto yourself, and prohibits the government from initiating the use of force against you for any reason whatsoever. It bans the use of initiated force. That, to me, folks, is the very definition of civilization. Civilization has been the long, slow crawl towards mitigating force. We started from savagery, where force was the only means by which people acquired things, and we end in freedom and liberty, where the mind, where the value creation, and where trade and exchange become the means by which you acquire things. Those are different universes, folks. They deserve to be separate, and the one that deserves to be ascendant is ours. Rational egoism with individual rights as the social moral principle guiding everything. Michael, what say you?
The question of the day, please go to YouTube and answer this question. We really, really need it. It helps with the, the algorithm. My question is this. It's the weekend again. I need a movie to watch. I'm looking for a great psychological thriller. What is a great psychological thriller that I can watch this weekend? Preferably one that's not as well known as others, so it'll be a nice surprise. So that's the question. Remember, folks, in less than an hour and a half, I'm live again with Everyday Ethics. Great show. Check it out.
Yes, folks. So we will be here, same bat time, same bat place, tomorrow, 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. Eastern time. Capitalist Corner, you got 23 hours to check your premises and join us here. It'll be the Q&A day. Thank you very much.
Hold on.
We got a fucking super chat, €2. Thank you very much. What is Liam Neeson's opinion? It doesn't matter. You don't need an opinion when your penis is that large. So that's all I have to say. So join us here tomorrow. It's Q&A day, folks. Bring your questions. We will try to bring our answers. We'll also have news items for you if you don't have that many questions. But we know you're stimulated right now and you're thinking of these questions. Because we've been talking Liam Neeson, you will have your questions for us, and we'll be prepared for you. All right. Until then, folks, peace.